At first glance, this might seem like nothing more than a simple moment captured on camera. Two small kittens sitting quietly together, surrounded by soft light, warmth, and an almost suspicious sense of calm. But if you give yourself a little more time, if you allow the moment to unfold without rushing past it, you'll begin to notice that something much more interesting is happening right in front of you. Because these are not just kittens. They don't move randomly, they don't waste energy, and they certainly don't behave like creatures who are unsure of their place in the world. They sit with the kind of confidence that usually belongs to those who already know they're in charge, even if no one officially said it out loud. One of them watches the room carefully, slowly scanning the space as if checking invisible details that no one else seems to notice, while the other remains perfectly still, calm and unbothered, as though every possible outcome has already been considered and approved. Between them, there's no need for sound, no need for movement, and no need for explanation, just a quiet agreement built on instinct, trust, and an unspoken understanding of how things work. The longer you watch them, the clearer it becomes that they're not reacting to the world around them, the world is adjusting to them. Minutes pass, and without realizing it, you stop thinking of them as cute and start sensing their presence in a completely different way, because there's something strangely reassuring about how little they try to impress anyone. They don't perform, they don't demand attention, and they don't hurry, they simply exist, and somehow that feels more powerful than any loud action ever could. One of the fluffy bosses seems to be responsible for structure, always choosing the best position, the warmest spot, and the angle from which everything can be observed without effort, while the other handles atmosphere, quietly deciding whether this moment calls for stillness, comfort, or just the kind of silence that makes the day feel lighter. Together, they form a system that doesn't rely on rules or commands, but on presence alone. You might notice how they wait, not impatiently, not expectantly, but with calm certainty, as if they already know that attention will come to them naturally, without being asked for, because it always does. And when their eyes finally meet the camera, it feels less like they're looking at you and more like they're acknowledging you, gently reminding you that it's okay to slow down for a while. Time behaves differently around them. Thoughts soften. Breathing becomes steadier. The outside world, with all its noise and urgency, feels a little farther away. Every now and then, they exchange a brief glance, so quick and subtle that you might almost miss it, but in that moment, it feels as if a silent decision has been made, a plan adjusted, a balance confirmed. They don't compete, they don't interrupt each other, and they never seem unsure of their role, because everything about them suggests quiet confidence rather than something that needs to be proven. The longer you stay, the more you begin to understand that these two fluffy bosses aren't here to entertain you in the traditional sense. They're here to set the tone. They create a space where nothing urgent is expected from you, where you're allowed to simply sit, watch, and exist without explanation, and that might be their most impressive skill of all. And just when you start to feel completely comfortable in their presence, completely settled into the rhythm they've created, one of them shifts slightly closer while the other continues to observe, calm and steady, as if signaling that this quiet story is only beginning, and that there's no need to rush what comes next. At some point, almost everyone watching this video starts to recognize themselves in these two fluffy bosses, even if they don't notice it right away. Because we all know someone like this. Or rather, we all live with someone like this. Take Mark, for example. Mark is absolutely convinced that he owns his apartment. He pays the rent, the electricity, the internet, the cat food, everything. And yet, every single evening, when he comes home from work, tired and mentally exhausted, he finds himself standing awkwardly in the doorway, whispering "excuse me," because both cats are lying exactly where he needs to step. And he waits. Because you don't step over management. or Anna. Anna once said she doesn't let cats sleep on her bed. She said it confidently. Repeated it to friends. Even made rules about it. Now she sleeps on the edge of the mattress, barely moving, because one fluffy boss has claimed her pillow and the other has stretched out diagonally across the blanket like he owns a private penthouse. And somehow, she's the one apologizing when she moves. That's how their power works. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just quiet consistency. Another minute passes, and you might notice how these bosses never rush to be funny. They don't jump on command. They don't perform tricks. Instead, humor appears naturally, in small unexpected moments, like when one of them pretends not to hear you calling, only to appear seconds later in the exact spot you were about to sit down. Or when they both stare intensely at absolutely nothing, making you question reality for a brief moment. Is there something there? Should you be worried? They don't explain. They never do. People often say cats are selfish. But watch closely, and you'll see something different here. These two don't just exist for themselves. They curate the atmosphere. When the room is too loud, they become quiet. When someone is anxious, they appear calmer than ever. When the day feels heavy, they suddenly become softer, warmer, closer, not because they were told to, but because they decided it was time. There's a story about a woman named Claire who used to play this exact kind of video every evening after work. She said she didn't even always watch the screen. Sometimes she just listened. The soft pauses. The gentle movements. The feeling that nothing urgent was happening. It feels like someone else is in charge for a while, she once commented. And that's exactly it. These fluffy bosses don't solve problems. They postpone them. And sometimes, that's better. Minute by minute, you realize that their leadership style is built on trust. They trust the moment. They trust the silence. They trust that you'll stay, not because you're forced to, but because you want to. There's also something deeply amusing about how seriously they take themselves. The posture. The slow blinks. The way they sit as if they're attending an important meeting, even though nothing is happening at all. And yet, it feels important. Someone once joked in the comments of a similar video, saying, "I came here to relax for 5 minutes and accidentally joined a cat-run organization." And honestly, that might be the most accurate description possible. These two fluffy bosses don't need titles. They don't need rules written down. Their authority comes from presence. From the way they enter a room and instantly change the mood. From the way they lie down and somehow make everything feel settled. From the way they look at you, not asking, not demanding, just acknowledging. As the video goes on, you might notice yourself smiling without realizing it. Not laughing loudly. Just that soft, quiet smile that comes when nothing is required of you. That's their greatest success. They don't steal your attention. They offer rest. And now, as we slowly approach the end of this moment together, the fluffy bosses remain exactly where they are, calm, confident, completely unbothered by time. They're not saying goodbye. They never do. They simply assume you'll come back. So if you stayed until this point, congratulations, you've officially been approved by management. You're welcome here. Thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you for watching, for relaxing, for being present in this quiet little world ruled by two fluffy bosses. If this video made you smile, helped you slow down, or simply gave you a few peaceful minutes, don't forget to support the bosses by pressing the like button. They notice these things. Feel free to leave a comment below and tell us who really runs your house. And if you'd like to return to this calm space again, make sure you're subscribed. The bosses appreciate loyalty. Until next time, take care, rest a little longer. And remember, you may think you're in charge, but the fluffy bosses know better. And now, as this quiet moment comes to an end, the fluffy bosses remain exactly where they are, calm, confident, and completely at ease, as if they've done their job and see no reason to rush anything further. Thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you for watching, for staying, and for sharing this peaceful space. If this video made you smile or helped you slow down, don't forget to support the fluffy bosses with a like. Feel free to leave a comment and tell us who really runs your home. And if you'd like to return for more calm moments like this, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, take care. And remember, the fluffy bosses are always watching.